So Chelsea, how do you use Habit 5 in your life?
I use Habit 5 by the method of seeking to understand people through 3 different characteristic core personality traits of people, such as ethos, pathos, and logos. Each of them are different characteristic traits that people have generally, and ethos is more about being able to read different people's personalities and characteristics, and being more of a person of credibility, faith, and integrity. And then pathos is the more empathetic type of person that seeks to get on different people's levels and understand where they're coming from an emotional sense. And they generally are more trustworthy people. People tend to trust those people more. And then there's the logos thinker, who is a much more logic thinker. They're much more about reasoning and thinking without much emotion, more general, get to the point type people. And I think I use just those 3 characteristics by understanding people in my life through probably my work relationships and my school relationships, as well as my relationships probably with family and friends. I think it just helps you understand, if you can understand that there's 3 different characteristics of people and how they kind of work on a professional work and relational level. It can help you just better understand with people and maybe communicate overall better. So I think everyone uses it, maybe they don't know it, and sometimes it's good to pay attention to ethos, pathos, and logos so you can better communicate with people.
In Habit 4, Think Win-Win, it explains win-win, win-lose, and lose-win situations. When it comes to win-win, the solution or agreement benefits both parties involved. The members are working together in a cooperative way in order to make sure that everyone feels good about the decisions being made. During a win-win situation, individuals are not competing with each other, but are working towards a common goal. I feel that this situation is important to implement in my personal and career life because it's better to work together towards a common goal rather than competing against one another. Life can get hectic, and sometimes it's hard to remember that others are willing to work with you rather than against you. When individuals are not implementing win-win, they may instead be using win-lose or lose-win. When using the win-lose mindset, the individual is trying to benefit from the situation while the others involved are suffering or losing out on the outcome. When a win-lose situation plays out, the individual is willing to have others step all over them to keep the peace. The individual is losing out on happiness while the others are taking advantage of the situation. When individuals are not implementing the win-win, they may instead be using the win-lose or the lose-win. When using the win-lose mindset, the individual is trying to benefit from the situation while the others involved will suffer or lose out on the outcome. When a win-lose situation plays out, the individual is willing to have others step all over them to keep the peace. The individual is losing out on the happiness while the others are taking advantage of the situation. Both of these situations are not positive approaches to interacting with others, and I hope not to use them in my personal or career life. I would not want others to lose out in order for me to gain, and I would not want others to step all over me in order to keep the peace with them.
So Habit 3 talks about putting first things first. So basically living a balanced life and, recognizing that doing everything that comes along or not doing everything that comes along is okay. It also highlights that it's all right to say no when necessary, and then focusing on what are your highest priorities. It also talks about thinking with the end in mind. So when I think about how I can use it in my personal life, basically reflecting about my values, what are my roles, and the priorities I have in my life and how it affects the decisions I make. So, for example, like my priority would be to spend more time with family and friends and building those relationships with them. And how I can use it in my professional life is, being more efficient through time management, and again, thinking with the end in mind. So making decisions that will help me reach my career goals. And this includes being more organized and, making a list of responsibilities of, what are my priorities and really figuring those out. So habit 1 basically talks about being proactive, and how I can use that in my personal life is basically, being proactive in all the things that I do, like in school, maybe learning how to work cooperatively with other people and, making things happen to make sure that we get things done, or, in my relationships with other people, making the effort to try and spend more time with family and friends. So yeah, basically being proactive in all aspects of my life. So how I can use habit 1 in my professional life is, basically being proactive and making sure the right people are on the bus, and basically striving towards the common goal of the company, and making sure all things are being met to contribute to the success of the company. And overall, it's just being proactive in all aspects of a business and striving to become, instead of being good, you want to be great.
Hi guys, I'm Veronica, and our group, we decided to just really talk about individually how the habits have affected us both in our workplace and in our personal lives. This is one of my favorite books that I've read so far, because I feel like it just came at a time in my life where maybe I just had a lot of questions about how to do certain reactions to certain situations, and it also came at a point in my life where I was going through a lot of personal growth. So it was just a added tool that I could use, and it's come in pretty handy. I guess one of the things that I felt like I've learned the most is to seek first to understand and then be understood. And that's one of my favorite habits, just because I feel like everyone really has a story, and you can't really judge people or react to them without really knowing what they're about. And I feel like in the past that's something that I have done, and it causes a lot of strife in relationships to react without really asking the other person why they're doing a certain thing, just reacting based on your assumptions, and that's never smart. It's one of the things that I have learned to really apply in my personal life. It's not something that I've really applied in the workplace. However, I feel like that doesn't really leave room for that personally. But for the workplace, I guess the one that I see the most that I've learned or started using would be Think Win-Win. Really making sure that I look out for the customer and myself, as well as for the people I work with. I don't really have a lot of team projects. It's more individual work, but just being able to apply the win-win situation is very beneficial, because it takes you out of the mindset of just thinking of something for yourself, and at the end of the day you feel a lot better. I feel like this book was just, again, I just came at the right time, but there's so much to it. Like, even within the examples, it's not just think win-win, it's stopping to react, stopping before you react and really taking in what someone has said to you, giving yourself that pause, is like Mr. Covey mentions. I just feel like there's a lot of great things even within the habits themselves that really just have shaped me and helped me react to certain situations better. I mentioned some examples in class about how it helped me in my personal life to apply these things. Even before I even read the book, some of the counseling that I was taking really brought up these strategies as well. But it really just shows you how right he was, his research, and how good these habits really are. Because even what we don't even counselors are using them, whether or not they call them the same things that Mr. Covey does. But it just shows you how well he did his research and how much this really could change your life, and how when you apply them and when you follow the strategies and habits that he's provided, it really can help you and become a better person and become a better effective person, not just, in your personal life, but in the workplace.